My girlfriend said, "I donated your sperm without telling you. My friend couldn't afford a clinic. Congrats, you're a biodad." I responded calmly, "That's illegal." Then I called a lawyer, filed charges, and contacted the friend with a cease and desist. When Child Services got involved and started investigating everyone involved, I, 31 male, was sitting on the couch last Tuesday when Madison, 29, came home looking weirdly excited. We'd been together for almost 2 years, living together for 6 months. She worked in HR, I'm a software developer. Normal couple stuff. She dropped her purse and sat down next to me with this huge smile. "So I have some news. You know how Felicity's been struggling with wanting to have a baby but can't afford the fertility clinic prices?" Felicity was her best friend from college. I'd met her maybe 5 times. Single, worked as a receptionist at some dental office, wanted to be a mom but didn't want to wait for a partner. Fair enough, her life. Yeah? I said, not sure where this was going. "Well, I helped her out. Remember those samples you gave at the urologist last year when you were worried about that infection?" My blood went cold. "What about them?" She was still smiling, like she'd done something amazing. "I work in medical billing, so I have access to the lab system. I convinced the technician I knew to let me have one of your frozen samples. Told her it was for us, for our future family planning. Then I gave it to Felicity. She did an at-home insemination last month, and it worked. She's pregnant. Congrats, you're going to be a biodad." I stared at her. My brain couldn't process what I was hearing. "You? What?" "I helped Felicity get pregnant, with your sperm." She couldn't afford the $15,000 for a clinic and donor sperm, so I figured since we're probably going to have kids together anyway, why not help her out? You've always said you wanted to help people. The room was spinning. "Madison, that's my biological material. You can't just give that away. That's illegal." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, don't be dramatic. It's just some cells. You aren't using it, and now Felicity gets to be a mom. Isn't that beautiful?" "No," I said, my voice way calmer than I felt. "That's reproductive theft and fraud, and probably half a dozen other crimes." "Crimes?" She laughed. "You're being ridiculous. It's a favor between friends. Nobody got hurt." I stood up, pulled out my phone, started recording. "Madison, I need you to explain again, on camera, exactly what you did. Why are you recording me? Because what you just admitted to is multiple felonies, and I need documentation." Her face changed, first confusion, then anger. "Are you serious right now? I did something nice. I helped my best friend become a mother. You should be honored." "Honored that you stole my genetic material and used it without my consent? That you committed fraud to access medical records and samples? That you potentially made me legally responsible for a child I never agreed to father?" "You're overreacting." "No, I'm calling a lawyer, right now." I walked into the bedroom and shut the door. My hands were shaking as I searched for a reproductive rights attorney in our area. Found one with good reviews, left a voicemail explaining the basics and asking for an emergency consultation. Then I called the urologist's office, explained what happened. The receptionist transferred me to their office manager, who transferred me to their legal department. Within 15 minutes, I had confirmed they were launching an internal investigation into how my sample was accessed and removed from storage. When I came back out, Madison was on the phone. "I don't know, he's freaking out about it." "Yeah, I told him. He's being such a jerk about this, Mom." I sat down and waited for her to finish. She hung up and glared at me. "My mom thinks you're being selfish. Your mom doesn't understand the law. What you did is theft. And depending on how the friend used the sample, there could be additional charges. If she forged any documents claiming to be me or claiming I consented, that's fraud too." "Oh my God, stop. You sound like such an asshole right now. Felicity is over the moon. She's finally going to have the baby she's always wanted. Why can't you just be happy for her?" "Because I didn't consent to fathering her child, Madison. Consent matters in everything. It's not like you have to raise it. She's not asking you for anything. That's not how it works legally. And even if it was, that's not the point. The point is you violated my bodily autonomy. You stole genetic material from me. You committed crimes to do it." She stood up, grabbed her keys. I can't deal with you right now. I'm going to Felicity's. Maybe you'll calm down by the time I get back." She left. I sat there for a long time, just processing. Then I made a list, called a criminal defense attorney my coworker had recommended once, left another voicemail, started documenting everything, the date I gave the sample, the date she told me, her exact words, the recording I'd made. The attorney called back that night. His name was Vincent, been practicing for 20 years. I explained everything. Holy hell, he said. Okay, first thing tomorrow, you need to file a police report. This is reproductive coercion, theft, fraud, probably HIPAA violations on the medical facility's part. Second, we need to get ahead of any potential paternity claims. Third, you need to decide if you want to pursue civil damages. What are we looking at here? For her? Criminal charges that could mean jail time. For you, you need protection from any future claims on that child. The fact that she's already born or will be born doesn't make this legal. You had no knowledge, no consent. We can establish that from the start. And my girlfriend? Ex-girlfriend, I'd recommend. She committed serious crimes, and she doesn't seem to understand that. Update 1. Filed the police report Wednesday morning. The detective's face, when I explained what happened, was something else. He said they'd seen reproductive coercion cases before. Women stealing condoms, men sabotaging birth control, but never quite like this. The medical facility angle makes this bigger, he said. That's federal stuff, potentially. HIPAA, medical records fraud, will need to coordinate with the DA's office. Madison came home that evening. I'd packed her stuff, had it in boxes by the door. What is this? She asked. You need to leave. Are you kidding me? You're kicking me out? You committed multiple felonies, Madison. Yes, I'm kicking you out. You need to find somewhere else to stay. I paid rent here. Your name's not on the lease. You paid me rent. Here's the prorated amount for the rest of the month. I handed her a check. Take your things and go. You called the cops? She was looking at her phone. Felicity just texted me. Detectives came to her work and questioned her. What the hell, Nathan? What did you think was going to happen? You stole medical samples and gave them away. That's a crime. It was a favor. It was theft. Her mom showed up 20 minutes later. Janet, mid-50s, worked as a paralegal. You'd think she'd understand the legal implications. You'd be wrong. Nathan, this is absurd, Janet said, barging in. Madison was trying to help someone. You're going to ruin her life over this? She ruined her own life by committing crimes. She didn't hurt anyone. She stole my genetic material. She violated my reproductive rights. She committed fraud to access medical records. Those are serious crimes, Janet. Nobody sees it that way. It's just a favor between friends. The police see it that way. The DA's office will see it that way. And honestly, I don't care how you see it. Madison was crying now. I can't believe you're doing this. I thought you loved me. I did, before you proved you don't understand consent or basic legal boundaries. What about Felicity's baby? You're going to ruin her life too? Felicity participated in fraud. She used stolen genetic material. If she signed any documents claiming I consented, that's more fraud. She made her choices. Janet pointed at me. You're a cold, heartless bastard. That baby is innocent. The baby is also not my responsibility. I never agreed to father it. When this goes to court, that'll be established. When this goes to court? Madison's voice went shrill. You're suing us? My lawyer's drawing up a cease and desist for Felicity. She's not to contact me, not to list me on any birth certificates, not to make any claims of paternity. If she violates that, yes, there will be a civil suit. The criminal charges are already filed. My phone rang. Vincent, I answered. Nathan, just got word from my contact at the DA's office. They're taking this seriously. Probable cause for multiple charges. They want to interview you tomorrow. Understood. Madison was staring at me. Who was that? My attorney. You actually hired a lawyer? For this? For multiple felonies, yes. Janet grabbed Madison's arm. Come on, honey, we're leaving. Let him rot in his self-righteousness. They loaded up her boxes. Before leaving, Madison turned back. Felicity's baby deserves a father. You're going to regret abandoning your own child. It's not my child. I never consented to create it. And that'll be legally established. They left. I locked the door and sat down. My hands were still shaking. The next few days were a blur. Gave my statement to detectives, provided all documentation. The urologist's office confirmed the sample was accessed improperly, that Madison had used her medical billing credentials to gain access to the lab system, that she'd convinced a technician it was for our personal use. The technician was fired. The facility's legal team contacted me. They'd be cooperating fully with the investigation and had already implemented new security protocols. Friday afternoon, Felicity called from a blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. "Nathan, it's Felicity. Please, I'm so sorry. I didn't know Madison didn't have your permission. She told me you'd agreed to help me out. She said you guys had talked about it and you were fine being a donor. Please don't press charges. I'm 8 weeks pregnant. I can't lose this baby. Please." I forwarded it to Vincent. "That's good," he said. "She's admitting she knew where the sample came from. Shows knowledge. Might help establish intent." What happens now? DA decides on charges. Could be anywhere from theft to fraud to reproductive coercion. Depends on how aggressive they want to be. The medical facility angle makes it federal potentially. And Felicity's involvement, if she knew the source and participated anyway, she's liable too. What about the baby? That's complicated. You have no parental rights and no parental obligations if this is handled correctly. The baby was conceived without your consent using stolen genetic material. Courts have handled similar cases before. You're not legally the father. And if Felicity tries to claim I am, then we go to court and establish the facts. You have documentation, recordings, police reports. You'll be fine. Update 2. The DA filed charges 2 weeks later. Madison, felony theft, fraud, computer crimes, accessing medical records, HIPAA violations. Felicity, conspiracy to commit fraud, receiving stolen property. Madison's lawyer sent a letter saying the charges were excessive and vindictive, and that I was weaponizing the legal system against a woman who was just trying to help a friend. Vincent's response letter was beautiful. Outlined every crime, every statute, cited case law about reproductive rights and consent. Ended with, "Your client committed serious felonies. Mr. Reeves is entitled to pursue all legal remedies." Then the social worker showed up. She knocked on my door on a Thursday evening, showed her ID, Child Protective Services. "Mr. Reeves, I'm Darlene from CPS. We need to talk about the baby that's going to be born in about 7 months." I let her in, offered coffee. She declined. "I've read the police reports," she said. "This is unprecedented in my career, but we need to establish the child's welfare situation. Miss Felicity Nguyen is claiming you're the biological father and that you've abandoned your child. I'm not the father, not legally. The sample was stolen. I never consented. I understand that's your position. But biologically, if this baby is born and tests show you're the genetic father, there are welfare considerations, which should be addressed to the person who stole my genetic material and the person who used it knowing it was stolen. That's not how CPS works, Mr. Reeves. We're concerned with the child's well-being. And I'm concerned with the violation of my reproductive rights. I have no obligation to this child. I never agreed to father it." She made notes. "Have you considered that once this child is born, they might want to know their biological father? That child can know their biological father was the victim of a crime, that their mother participated in fraud, that none of this was consensual. You seem very detached from this situation." "Because I am. This child is not mine in any meaningful way. It's the product of theft. The court will decide that. Yes, it will, and I have extensive documentation proving I never consented to any of this." She left after an hour of questioning. Vincent said it was standard procedure but irritating. "They're trying to establish if you're going to be a resource for the child," he explained. "Answer honestly. Stick to facts. Don't let them guilt you." Madison's mom sent me a Facebook message. "You're gonna burn in hell for what you're doing to that innocent baby. Felicity is struggling financially and emotionally, and you're making it worse. Be a man and take responsibility." I screenshot it and sent it to Vincent. More evidence of harassment. 2 days later, Felicity's lawyer sent a demand letter. She wanted $2,500 a month in child support starting immediately, medical expenses, and a guarantee I'd be listed on the birth certificate. Vincent laughed when he read it. "She's delusional. Let me handle this." His response was brutal. "Your client participated in fraud to acquire stolen genetic material. She has no legal claim to anything from Mr. Reeves. Any further harassment will result in additional civil action. Your client should be more concerned with the criminal charges she's facing." Then Madison showed up at my work. Security called me down to the lobby. She was there with Felicity, who was showing now. "Look at her," Madison screamed. "Look at what you're doing. She's pregnant with your baby, and you're acting like she doesn't exist." "You need to leave," I said calmly. "You're both under orders not to contact me." "That baby needs a father," Felicity was crying. "I can't do this alone. I can't afford this alone. You should have thought about that before you participated in fraud." "I didn't know." "Madison said you agreed." "That's your problem. You believed a thief." Security escorted them out, filed another police report for violating the no-contact order. Vincent said it would help our case. The preliminary hearing was set for 6 weeks out. Vincent explained it would be a long process. Criminal trials take time. Civil issues would be separate. "What's your best-case scenario?" I asked. "Criminal convictions for both of them. Clear establishment that you have no parental rights or obligations. Civil settlement for your legal fees and emotional distress. Restraining order that holds up. Worst case, they plead down to lesser charges. You still get your parental rights clarified, but they do less time. Felicity raises the kid on her own. You're free, but it's messy. I can live with messy as long as I'm free." Madison's parents tried to approach me at a coffee shop. I got up and left. They followed me to my car. "Please," Janet said. "Madison's looking at jail time. Real jail. She made a mistake. Can't you just drop this?" "No. She's my daughter. She's a criminal. She violated my most basic rights. I don't care that she's your daughter." "What about Felicity's baby?" "Not my problem. Not my responsibility. Not my child." "You're a monster," her dad said. It was the first time I'd heard him speak. A real man would step up. A real man respects consent and personal boundaries. Your daughter doesn't. That's why she's facing charges. I drove away, blocked both of them on everything. Final update. The trial took 4 months. Madison pleaded guilty to reduced charges, felony theft, misuse of medical records. Got 2 years probation, $5,000 fine, community service. Could have been prison time, but her lawyer worked a deal. Felicity pleaded guilty to conspiracy, receiving stolen property. 18 months probation, $3,000 fine. Both have felony records now. The civil case settled. They paid my legal fees, $18,000 split between them. Also signed documents permanently waiving any claims of paternity, child support, or involvement from me. The baby was born 3 months ago. Girl. I know because the final court order mentions it. I'm legally not the father. Not on the birth certificate. No rights, no obligations. The judge's order specifically states the conception was non-consensual and criminal in nature. Felicity's parents are apparently helping her raise the kid. She lost her job when the criminal charges became public. Madison's still living with her parents, working temp jobs. No one will hire her with the felony on her record. My mom thinks I was too harsh. That baby didn't do anything wrong, she keeps saying. Neither did I remind her. I was the victim of a crime. Lost some friends over this. People who think I should step up or be the bigger person. Apparently, my boundaries and consent don't matter as much as a baby that wouldn't exist if not for crimes committed against me. My therapist says I'm handling it well, considering. Says most people couldn't process this level of violation. The nightmares are getting better. The ones where I wake up panicking about legal papers or child support claims. Dating's off the table for a while. Hard to trust anyone after someone you loved used your body against you. That's what it was. She used my body, my genetic material, without permission. Violated me in one of the most fundamental ways possible. Vincent says if Felicity ever tries to contact me or make any claims, we go straight back to court. The settlement agreement is ironclad. She signed away any rights to involve me. If she violates it, she pays penalties and potentially more jail time. Sometimes I wonder about the kid. Not because I feel paternal, I don't. But because she's going to grow up eventually and find out how she was conceived. That her existence started with her mother participating in a crime. That her biological father wanted nothing to do with her because he never consented to creating her. That's sad. But it's not my responsibility to fix it. I didn't create that situation. Madison and Felicity did. I sold my place last month, moved across the state. New job, new apartment, new everything. Can't risk running into them accidentally. Can't risk Felicity deciding a few years from now that she wants me involved after all. My new therapist says that's understandable, that I'm allowed to protect myself, that I'm allowed to enforce my boundaries even when other people think I'm wrong. The whole thing still feels surreal sometimes, like it happened to someone else. But then I see the court documents, the settlement agreement, the restraining order. All very real. All proof that two people I trusted committed crimes against me and thought they were doing something good. Madison sent a letter last week. Not to me, she knows better, but to my lawyer who forwarded it, said she understands now what she did was wrong, that she's in therapy, that she hopes someday I can forgive her. I won't. Forgiveness is for people who make mistakes. What she did wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate, calculated theft of my genetic material for someone else's benefit. She chose her friends' wants over my fundamental rights. That's not a mistake, that's who she is. And I'm glad I found out before we had kids together, before I married her, before I tied my life to someone who doesn't understand consent. The legal stuff is over, the emotional stuff will take longer. But I'm free. No child support, no custody battles, no ties to people who violated me. That's the win. Not a happy ending, not closure, just freedom. And some days that's enough.